What's up, Noodles? We are back. It's been actually only a couple of minutes since the end of the last video. I didn't want to overcap on prisms or anything by waiting a whole day. I wanted to kind of keep going while we're on a roll. So really the only thing that happened was I watched a cutscene unlock the Colossus, which is kind of the main hub for your story development. There are some story locked portions, but that's kind of where we get the extra. There's always. I have played other gacha games in there that type of, home base type of thing where you do upgrades there, and it kind of helps you develop other content and push through different parts with extra little bonuses. So we did that, mostly just the game guided, press this to unlock that. So I didn't really want to include that in the video, but we will continue along here. And so this is a good example. You'll see where the HP requirement exists and where the remaining rounds requirement exists. So hopefully these are actual levels where we get to just play and don't have a board already set up for us. One other thing I wanted to mention is you'll see potentially information here about the Eclipse sites you'll be fighting, but also there's a recommended level. The recommended level is not a hard and fast thing. I think the recommended level is to try and prompt players who are new and aren't really used to playing a game like this at all with strategy or anything, to have the base stats to progress through content, whereas smart team building, smart play should let us do it at a lower than required level, particularly for a later game mode called the Spire, which we'll see here at some point. So we're just going to go ahead and start again with the blue team. As I said, I'm going to kind of skip the story just so I don't spoil anything. We are going to fight some enemies, of course, so the enemy might give it away, but in general. Alright, so it is kind of giving us a guide here, but what we'll take a look at, and this is a good opportunity to talk about it as well. So we're going to use some active skills and kind of paint the board in a way so I can show you some things. So as I mentioned last video, creating a couple of tiles around you is really good, because instead of now going this way like it would have had us, we can actually go this way, and you'll see, that we've got now we're up to 4 combo points and a 1.4 multiplier in pretty much the same spots. We can actually get really high combo count heading in that direction. Another thing worth noting is the order in which you activate abilities can sometimes make a difference. So particularly in this case, because Miss Blanc only converts the 4 tiles nearest to us, she's almost always going to be the one that we use first. There's no point in using Klecken to convert nearby green tiles if those would then be blue for Miss Blanc. So we're going to use Miss Blanc first, and then Klecken afterward will give us additional space for more tiles here. Another thing worthy of note is you'll see this mob is 2x2, so it's a 4 tiles total, which allows us to get attacks on both sides of it as we push. So I'm going to go ahead and use Klecken just to show. I mentioned last video as well, he's got a preemptive, and preemptive skills mean they can be used on turn 1. So even though they have a cooldown, so you'll notice Vice has a cooldown, so it has a cooldown. Because they have a cooldown, they're not usable right away, but preemptive skills can be used turn 1, and then their cooldown can start. And it seems to be trying to just hint based on the way that the board looks. So that's kind of cool that it does that. I'm going to go try to get the biggest multi I can. So one thing you'll notice here is, of course, I have to pick a direction to go. So it kind of stinks to only be able to get one of my attacks at the 1.1, but I'm doing that so that I can get multiple attacks at a much higher multiplier on the other side of the mob. So I'm going to go around this way. Instead of stepping this way, which is 1.6, 1.7, I'm going to go up first, so we get 1.7 and 1.8, and then I can still draw the line to get the highest combo possible for that last mob. And that's going to make the difference here, because I think we're actually going to, we're going to basically kill the mob without even having to use our chain skill. The mob's going to move. And of course, by not moving on blue, so I can move on blue just like this, and it will let me use my chain burst. But since I'm not going to really get another attack otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and diagonal these tiles just to get an attack on the mob. Another thing worthy of note here is we're on wave 1, so I don't want to just burn through all my blue tiles just for fun. I'd rather set myself up to do good on wave 2. Okay, so let's do some more conversions. I'm going to use this block. Even though the mob is standing on that tile, realistically, we're going to kill that mob, so we're going to get that tile back for us. But the other nice thing is, since Vice's skill is reliant on water tiles within the cluster around us, we want that tile to be blue anyway. So I'm going to do that. Do Klecken. And then I'm going to do Vice. So she gets a lot of attacks because we had a lot of blue tiles right around us. I'm going to do this for now. Try to get as many attacks as I can. Chambers. And that's another point where getting as many tiles as possible help, because that lets this character here actually get that chain burst to have the range to affect the mob. So I only have one blue here and a couple greens, so I'm going to actually try using this character's ability. We're going to reset. So it's going to do damage to everything. Reset the tiles. Didn't really help us, unfortunately, but better than nothing. And I'm actually going to go this way. This lets me get a number of tiles so that I can get the burst ability off, and I'm going to get several attacks on this mob you'll see here. Cool, so we're going to get 3 stars out of this one. Made good use of our actives. We're going to level up, which is going to refresh our prism count so we can keep playing, so that's cool. So you saw the warning need to level up buttons there, but as you can tell, just by playing effectively, we were just fine in terms of damage. It's not important to upgrade your characters constantly. So this type of mob summons a small weak mob every single turn. So it's a pretty good idea to kill that one first in most cases. Another good reason to kill that one first in most cases is because there are going to be eventually some mechanics, and we'll see them written down here when they do activate, where there may be something like newly created mobs have a shield, or every time you kill a mob, something bad happens. So you want there to be less mobs overall. So we're going to kill the mob that makes mobs first. Go ahead and use my actives just for fun. It's nice because it actually gives us a method to attack that mob instead of just bursting it, because if we went this path over to this mob, we'd only really be able to burst it. We didn't have any tiles adjacent to that one. So now we can actually do some good work here. You can see we're going to get a lot of chain burst damage on this as well, so it's very nice. Very nice. So this gives us a nice little red tile paint. I'm going to do the red because, as I said, one, we're only on wave 1, so there's no point in just using my blue tiles to walk away from the mob. But 2, I can put myself in a decent position to chain burst both mobs. And then for this one, consider using this active. However, we've got a pretty good chain of blues here, so what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go this way. Now I'm going to stop on this tile because I don't really know if one of these tiles is going to become blue, and I guess I do have a couple of active next turn, but I would rather wait on actually maybe this tile is the play because it misblocks. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna stop here. And this is gonna let us use a couple more actives and do a really nice chain here. Nice big kill. Might as well save that blue tile. I was already at max combo. I'm not getting an extra attack out of it, so I'm just going to sit on that one. And Aurora time, so let's try to finish this up. Cool, so this is the terminal system, which is kind of what I mentioned, ways to interact with the characters. Think of it kind of like text messaging. You don't really determine who to text, they text you. But certain things can prompt you to go talk to them, do story events. Those typically can happen when you reach a certain affinity level or a certain character level or a certain ascension, things like that. So I'm going to click through this a little bit because you can skip these in general, but some of these have dialogue options that can grant you like 50 affinity, and affinity is kind of the friendship per character mechanic that also slightly boosts stats. So there is technically an in-game value to getting affinity. And the first couple levels of affinity are not very difficult to get. The stats gain is pretty low, but better than nothing. So we're gonna push through a little bit. Looks like this mostly just is the kind of you visualize and can develop rooms on the Colossus, and that improves the mood, which is one of the mechanics. So I'm gonna skip this for now. I know for sure. So that's an item that can be used to grant affinity. This is cool. It's using the fireflies or whatnot to develop the room. And you'll notice that the room furniture and things give mood, which is this little like coffee symbol. And the mood increase improves certain things. Your characters can give you gifts like the in-game gold, in-game, let's see if I have this here. Nope. In-game gold or in-game like rolling currency, things like that. So let's clear out the plot quests a little bit. And I actually prefer to click on the plot quests from here because it's kind of annoying to navigate that menu, whereas if you click on the plot quests right there, it just immediately collects the reward for you, so that's cool. So I'm going to recruit because I have a couple of the starter commit 3 rolls here, so let's do it again. Three-star. So what I do, nothing new. 4-star. Nice, new character. And our last one. Cool, 5-star. So as you can tell, the color gives away what rarity it's going to be. Blue is 3, purple is 4, gold is 5. Very nice. This is a very good fire converter, so that's pretty high, actually. And then kind of an orangish gold is 6-star. So we'll see that at some point here, hopefully. Actually, we're guaranteed to in a certain number of rolls, but hopefully sooner than that. So some notices here kind of just tells you things about the game. I believe there is a code. Can't remember what the code. It's like Alchemy stars with no caps or just some caps. I'm not gonna do that right now. I'm gonna look it up first instead of sitting here trying. So pre-made team. So in this case, it's kind of suggesting we're going to need to use our chain burst because we can't actually cross over this abyss portion of the floor. In this case, you'll see Dana's chain burst is a 3 camera. I think these are called columns when they go this way and rows if they go this way. But it lets her hit the target multiple times. Another nice thing is because the boss is water, or that large mob I should say is water, and she's electric, that helps as well because that keeps her from, that gives her an elemental advantage. And so her skill does damage to 9 tiles. So we're going to initiate it, and we're going to select the center of the market. And since that was the objective, I suppose, kills off the mounts. That's cool. So these are the S operations. I actually did one of these earlier before I started recording any videos. The S operations are additional. You do need them to get the final grand chapter reward, so it is important to do those if you can. Another reason that they're fun to try is that they don't require any prisms, but they don't give any experience. So maybe worth doing these when you're out of prisms and you want an opportunity to earn Soul Amber or Lune Amber, whatever it's called. But since we're overcapped on prisms, we're just going to keep pushing. So the escape point means that we don't technically need to defeat, I say the waves, but it's not about killing every single mob. It's about killing them until we can open the escape point and then using the escape point to to evacuate. So I'm going to go ahead and use the yellow path here. Very nice RNG, getting some blue back. Very nice. As mentioned before, we did that pretty optimally, so quite simple to So unfortunately, that mob spawned right on that green path. Both mobs actually spawned right on that green path that I was going to try to take to escape. So what we're going to do... Yeah, I guess we'll just go along this way and see if maybe we can just kill it. Thing to remember is, again, this mob spawns other mobs, so we could potentially be in trouble. I'm going to actually try for the reroll here. So because this mob spawns other mobs, I could find myself in a situation where I go here and I'm actually stuck because the mob can spawn right on top of me. But I'm going to take that chance since I really don't have many other paths here. Just hope it doesn't spawn in that exact spot. Okay, so it did, but then it moved, so we can traverse. Nice, so we also got this piece, which I'm fairly certain is needed for one of the Colossus developments. I think it's going to prompt me that one here. So this is the resource station, very important. Probably the next most important thing to upgrade after the prison pillar, which is this one right here. The prison pillar, I don't know why it necessarily needs me to go to the home stage, but the prison pillar, okay. The prison pillar generates the prisms that you use to play, and so those are good. And then the resource unlocks the different tiers. So you see this is tide level 1, tide level 2, tide level 3. Each one is more efficient, gives more stuff. So you want to also be upgrading your resource station when possible. So this boss makes beacons, which you can see reduce his overall damage taken. So ideally, you kill the beacons, which are fairly weak, at the same time as trying to deal damage to the boss. So we're going to just do this to show you what I mean. See, quite weak. Put myself over here. So this is perfect. So I'm going to use this block. And then Klecken will give me the nearby greens, so it's going to convert those. Which gives me a nice little chain over to him. Now I could continue on, right? I could technically increase my multiplier, but a couple of my chain bursts will hit the mob if I stop on that one, so we're going to stop there. And you'll notice that the boss being only one tile is actually a disadvantage in this case, because while it lets us move around him a little bit easier, we also get fewer hits that damage him effectively with our chain bursts. That was significantly weaker than I thought it would be. Unfortunate. So I really want to try to get to at least 4. We'll just do this. So from here you can see the damage that he will deal. Now, if I had a way to get in and out, I would probably pick that. In this case, I do not, so I'm going to... Let's see, 1 turn left on those. I'm going to ride out over this direction. So from here, unfortunately, this is going to kind of put us in a not ideal situation because we can't actually get on top of him. I may have made a mistake by getting this far away. However, we're going to do this one first. Convert, use for active, do the most damage I can. Nice. And it's just going to give a little bit of detail where you can use these carriers to double the cost, but also double the reward. So if you only have a limited amount of time to play, you want to burn through your prisms really fast, you can turn on the carrier up here at the top. And it's also a good time to mention that there is an auto battle feature. Now the AI with the auto battle is not 100% perfect. It really just kind of uses your actives if possible and then tries to combo the board. So something you can do once you have strength, you have the faith that your teams are strong enough to be able to auto battle effectively, but definitely while you're starting out, I would probably just kind of play through it manually, and that also gives you a little bit of practice taking a look at boards and making combos using active skills, things like that. So that's probably going to do it for this video. Actually, let's do that one roll that I have here first. Or maybe 2. Alrighty, 4-star again. Another Lilium copy. I need to look into what she does because I've already rolled I feel like 4 or 5 of her. So maybe she's good and I can use her. And then I'm going to roll a couple of times over here as well, just to end it out. New 3-star, nice. Four-star, let's see it. Ooh, Ravi. Ravi is one of the other characters that makes Electric really fun to play. She's a nice teleporter, so that's going to be very useful. Come on, 6-star. Crap. And Jane, new water character, so I'll have to look into her, but that's that's going to do it for this video. I'm probably going to upgrade my units and stuff in the meantime, and maybe burn through some prisms, read some of these messages, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching.